I'd like to take this occasion to thank all of the Periscope live stream community that engaged with me in January and February of 2020 on this Vietnam quest. Je voudrais remercier la communauté Periscope qui a participé avec moi durant cette tournée au Vietnam.
It's been decided. The tribe has spoken. Okay. So yeah, I like the weathering on that. I think it would kind of ruin it if they did like a major cleaning, but it would transform it. You know, it would make it this kind of pastel. It is really funny. That's what I thought initially. That's why I laughed. And sometimes you have to be careful when you laugh at things. You could be like you could be in the doghouse. You know, you're not supposed to laugh at that. It's 2020. I grant infinite immunity. Okay, soft-spoken Matty R. I would be back to its current condition in 6 months because of smog. I don't think 6 months. I think this is an accumulation of a lot more than 6 months. This weathering is the real deal, but it would come back eventually for sure. And I like the fact that the potted plant is in the shot, so it's a really nice composition, and especially the colors that she's wearing. And it's like a cow patch, like a Jersey cow patch, but you know, fuchsia and cream. So it's pretty cool. All right, moving along. Carry on. I'm not mute. I had to get the shots in areas of the throat so it can speak loud. It's daytime in America. No, it's not. It's the evening in America. It's daytime in Southeast Asia. He's a photographer. They're all photographers hanging out here. There is Mass, or at least it's still posted here. So it's still a functional church. Hold on a second. Saint-Joseph Cathedral de Hanoi. But it looks like it's in English. But it probably was at one point exclusively in French. Not that that's a negative, but it's just, you know, they happen to be ruling the place, so they get to decide what language is used. So let's have a view of, look up, look way up. Okay. Jesus. So I have to berate myself a little bit for almost having lost my iPad. It deserved better. My iPad deserved better of me. By the grace of God, very lucky that fellow traveler tapped me on the shoulder to tell me that I forgot it on my seat. Thank you, Gus Bronson. To me, I'm just wandering around after my bowl of Pho 10. That is PHO 10. Hanoi. And I'm just wandering around the neighborhood, and I did not realize it was so close to St. Joseph's Cathedral. So now I can cross it off my list. I have been and I have seen St. Joseph's Cathedral. And I like how its purpose is been repurposed. And this happens to be what St. Joseph's is repurposed for. People want to be seen here in their finest, and look at the backdrop. I have to agree with you know, their reasons for doing that. Hey Debbie, you're still with us. Okay. But you could, if you look at all the people around, everybody seems to be smiling, and I think it has to do with the vibe of the place and also the air quality. The air quality is definitely much better where I'm standing. The moment I step across that line, we're back into, you know, every man for himself. See, they're smiling. Thank you.
1 hour photo.
Thank you. So I got my elbow felt up by what this gentleman does for a living is a cyclo. So this is Vietnam. These little low seats. I even had the pleasure to attend Christmas Eve night mass. Joe Lopez, you mean at St. Joseph's? If I'm not mistaken, there's a million Catholics in Vietnam. I've been there a few times. Well, I don't know if I would. I've met a million of them, but because the French were here more than a century ago, I would assume. And you know how the Catholic Church was really hell bent on converting heathens over to the Roman Catholic Church. So I am certain, and if they held like the bread bowl, meaning like your next meal depended on whether or not you accepted Jesus, you kind of. So I have a Catholic upbringing. There's a lot of positive things about Catholic upbringings. I mean, education is taken very seriously. And there are certain traditions that I'm glad that I was exposed to because I like to keep those things. But I like traditions of other cultures as well. I mean, I like a lot of the Buddhist traditions, and I would say I'm more in line with some of the variations of Buddhism than in my belief system than I am with the Catholicism doctrine. Catholics know how to put on a show. Yeah. Yeah. Well, just look at this statement of architecture. I was told that there's a bridge that the French used forced labor. So the engineers, were French and the concept was French, but the actual muscle that actually built them were Vietnamese. So in a way, they benefited from the bridge, but they didn't build the bridge willingly. They were obligated to. So there's a certain resentment that is warranted. But I don't want to make this just a negative scope about people done wrong, and these are little things that I've picked up during the day. But I don't want to dwell on it. Yeah, slave labor. So I'm gonna sit on here, and I will not neglect my iPad. I just need to fix my shoelace. I remember when I learned how to tie my shoes. So I guess this little bit was a little too long. So we need to adjust that just to make sure I don't trip over myself. There we go. Can you show windows behind you? Okay. These windows? Yes, Siri. To the left. Well, this is my right. Picking up. I'm not sure. I'm gonna watch this. See how she picks up the garbage? The great trifoil windows. Those ones. Okay. Vietnam has this island called Conado, which was a prison island built by the French and not pretty. Thank you for sharing that, Joe. The French were fond of their institutions. In fact, one of my favorite childhood stories was the Count of Monte Cristo and how he escapes from jail, and Les Miserables, and Papillon. The man who gets imprisoned and then gets sent over to Devil's Island, and then figures out how to escape an inescapable part of the world. So all of those stories are favorites of mine when I was a young kid. Yeah, so that's the trifoil. Hey, you're welcome. I'm happy as long as I didn't really know what, because I think the church has Gothic windows, but it might have a few trifoils. But this is definitely trifoil centric. So I have something in store for you guys a little later. And of course, I'm not going to give it away. Oh, this is cute. You really enjoyed your scope today. I had so much fun. I learned a lot. I am so happy, Debbie. I'm so glad. I know that you mentioned that you have issues that don't permit you to travel. I hope that you can overcome them at some point. So if I do go visit and pay my respects to Uncle Ho, I can't bring you guys along, and I cannot film it. So that's got to be a personal um, that's got to be a personal thing that I will undertake. And if I am in Hanoi long enough, I'll probably eventually get around to doing that. My mom's sitting right next to me and enjoying watching me travel with you. Isn't this nice? Hi, Debbie's mom. How are you doing? Welcome to Hanoi. And look at how the people in Hanoi are enjoying the lovely weather. And I guess somebody's gotten married today. No, I haven't, Sky Owl. It's on my list, and I cannot do a decent coffee justice by having one now with this cold. It's just incompatible. I'm right now. I'm more about like the fresh juices and ginger tea. And when I fix the cold, then I'm going to be ready for my Vietnamese coffee experience. So it's on my to-do list. But first things first, I got to deal with the cold first. Yeah. iPad. Yes, thank you, Siri. iPad's here. It's still with us. So those are, I believe, bronze or copper doors. And there's a thing where you hammer like sheets of bronze or copper in order to get a relief, and that's called bas relief. So it looks like the saints are reverse hammered. Repoussé is what it's called. I feel much better just having spent a half hour here. Is there any traffic rules there? Um, there are some lights that the locals will respect. Certain parts of the city, well, like when you're on the bicycle and you're coming up and it's a red light, you don't want to cross it because the traffic is real, and you will probably get a big hurt if you venture into, you cut through a red light. And then there are other parts where it's anything goes. So it's a whole mix of things. It's more like, I think the Hanoians behave like schools of fish. You know, like how schools of fish, they all kind of like veer and weave in unison like a dance. That's how they drive. So there's a certain rhyme and reason to it, and I'm sure there's a certain skill set for avoiding. You don't see any of the cars dinged up from motorcycles scraping against it. So people live very close to the edge, but they don't cross that line, and they don't drive very fast. That's the other thing. You see the exhaust, they're covered in plastic, so when you're kind of squeezed together with a bike, you could easily burn your ankle if you don't have a plastic guard over the exhaust, because those get very hot. See, this is a taxi, this is a Grab. These guys will come to your phone and take you where you have to go, and basically the transaction happens online, so you don't even have to give him money, but you can give him money, and you know exactly what it's going to cost. Yeah, the bikes are adept at avoiding hitting you. The cars, you got to be mindful of the cars, and they don't drive so fast. But now I can walk, and all of these motorcycles are going to avoid me. And look, people are smiling. So I came from that way because the faux tan was that way. But I tend to use the crosswalks. They're designed for that. And there are no cars in the area. Isn't that elegant?